This is video 5. It's on page 35 in your packets, page 35. I know I skipped a couple pages. That was for playing the integer card game on page 33 and 34. But we're on page 35, subtracting a positive number. This is found in your 7th grade textbook, Chapter 2, Section 2, Subtraction of Integers. Follow along with me as we play the integer card game. I'm going to complete these diagrams. So the example is 4 plus 2. You have a 4 and a 2 in your hand playing the integer card game. Well, we know on a number line, 4 plus 2 more would give us 6. So my hand would be worth 6. Show that discarding or subtracting a positive card, which is the same as subtracting a positive number, decreases the value of your hand. So you have a hand of 4 and 2, and it starts out at 6, but then we're going to discard the 2. So it would look something like this. We start at 0, 4 plus 2, and then we would subtract that 2 or discard that 2. So we'd be back at 4. So now our hand is worth a value of 4. Or we could show it this way. 4. So we have a 4. Then we picked up a 2 to get us over here to 6. And then adding a negative 2. Adding on negative, we know we go to the left. So adding on negative 2 would have these cancel each other out. So we'd still be at 4. Our value is 4 in our hand. So removing, we call it subtraction, subtracting, or you could call it taking away, a positive card changes the score the same way as adding a card whose value is the additive inverse. So if I picked up a negative 2, so if I had 4 plus 2 and then I picked up a negative 2. That's what this is showing. In this case, adding the corresponding negative card. So discarding 2 and picking up a negative 2 have the same effect on your hand. You're still at 4. So when you have a 4 and a negative 2, it looks like this. So you have 4 and negative 2. Negative means go left. The value of my hand is 2. 4 and adding a negative 2 will get me to 2. 4 and negative 2, this equals 2, right? Getting rid of this card, meaning discarding it, I'm going to be at positive 2. Now, if you start with a 4 and a negative 2, and you discard or subtract your negative 2, your hand is going to be worth, okay, so let's do this. I'm going to do this expression. So I go to 4. And I'm going to discard the negative 2, which gives me 2. But if I then subtract a negative 2, adding a negative 2, I go left. But subtracting negative 2, I go right. It's the opposite. Subtracting a negative, I have to do the opposite. To add a negative, adding a negative, I go left. But subtracting, because they're opposites, subtracting a negative, you go right. You have to go the opposite direction. So now my value is at positive 4. Or you start with a 4 and negative 2. Your hand is worth 2. You pick up and add a positive 2. So this is different. This is different, 4 and negative 2, but now I'm picking up and adding, not subtracting, I'm adding a positive 2. Okay, well, let's see what that looks like, this expression. I start with 4 I add a negative, which means I go left, and then I add a positive 2. Oh, adding positive 2, I'm going to get to 4. These have the same result. Adding a positive 2 and subtracting a negative 2 have the same result. I still get 4. Because I know that these are opposites, right? Negative 2 and positive 2 are going to combine to make 0, so I'm going to have 4. So removing or subtracting, as we wrote the last time, subtracting, taking away, it's another way you can say subtracting. A negative card changes the score. So subtracting or taking away a negative card changes the score the same way as adding a card whose value is the additive inverse, the opposite, inverse, or opposite. In this case, adding the corresponding positive card. So taking away a negative, let's look at this. Taking away a negative is the same way as adding the positive. Taking away a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. Taking away a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. Oh, that's the rule for subtraction. Subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite, its additive inverse. So using the rule for subtraction, rewrite the following subtraction sentences as an addition sentence and solve. Subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite, its additive inverse. So we call it, subtraction is keep the first number in your expression, add up, add up, and then I say sing, add up, sing, because we're going to sing, because we're going back to our adding rules. Subtraction is adding the opposite. Subtraction is adding the opposite. Sing. So using the rule of subtraction, which is, it says, keep, add, up, sing. Keep, add, up, sing. So this is what it looks like. Keep the 8. So we keep this 8. Change that subtraction to adding. That's a positive 2. So keep my 8. Change it to adding. That's a positive 2 right now. I'm going to add negative 2. Well, we know 8 take away 2. All of our life has been 6. So I wouldn't change a normal second grade subtraction problem. I normally would not do keep, add, up. So I would normally not do this. I'm just showing you that it's the exact same thing. 8 take away 2 is the same thing as 8 combined with negative 2, which gives us 6. We've known 8 take away 2 for a long time. However, with letter C, which I'm going to go to next, your primary teacher probably said to you, oh, honey, you can't do 4 take away 9. Well, yes, you could do 4 take away 9. You do keep, add, up. You follow your integer rule. So I keep the 4, I add, and this is a positive 9. Otherwise, it would be written like this if it was a negative 9. That's positive 9 sitting there. So keep, change the subtraction to adding. Opposite, the opposite of positive 9 is negative 9. These are not the same. This is 4 take away negative 9. This is 4 take away positive 9. So to change 4 take away positive 9, it looks like 4 plus negative 9. And yes, your teacher was right. The larger absolute value number does come first. Bigger number comes first with subtraction. So your teacher would say, oh, you can do 9 take away 4. Yes, you can. 9 take away 4 is 5. Take the sign of the larger number. Because now, see, it's adding. Different sign, subtract. So we get 5. Take the sign of the larger number, -5. Then you'll be exact. So keep, add, up, sing. Keep, add, up, sing. -3 minus a +7. Otherwise, it would look like -3. It would look like this one. -3 minus a -7. And it's not bad. It's -3, take away 7. So keep, add, up. The opposite of +7 is -7. Sing. Oh, same signs, -3 and -7. Add 3 and 7 makes 10, and keep. So -3 and -7 gives us -10. Same signs, add and keep. Keep, add, up. So keep that -9. Change that subtraction to adding its additive inverse. The additive inverse of -2 up is +2. Different sign, subtract. 9 take away 2 is 7. Take the sign of the larger number, -9. So my answer is -7. Find the differences. So -2 minus -5. So -2 minus -5. So -2, keep, add, up. Minus a negative becomes adding a positive. Minus a negative becomes adding a positive. 2 negatives make a positive. Only in mathematics, by the way. Only in mathematics. So different sign, subtract. 5 take away 2 is 3. Take the sign of the larger absolute value. So that's +3. 11 take away becomes adding a +8. 11 take away a -8. Same signs, add and keep. Yep, that's +19. -10, keep, add, opposite. So that becomes -10 minus -4 becomes -10 plus a +4. Different signs, subtract. So -10 and 4. We get 10 take away 4 is 6. Take the sign of the larger number, -6. So keep, add, up, sing. Same signs, add and keep. Different signs, subtract. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. Write 2 equivalent expressions that would represent an airplane flies at an altitude of 25,000 feet. Well, the expression that represents that would be +25,000. No labels on it because it's just an expression. A submarine dives to a depth of 600 feet below sea level. And you can see I already wrote it here, would be -600. The lesson summary is the rule for subtraction, subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite. Keep, add, up. And then I add that little part on, sing. Keep, add, up, sing. Secondly, removing or subtracting a positive card changes the score in the same way as adding a corresponding negative card. So if you got rid of a +6, it would be the same thing as keeping that +6 and picking up a -6. So your original other card that you had in your hand, the score would be the same. Removing or subtracting a negative card makes the same change as adding the corresponding positive card. So in the integer card game, a couple things happening there. And for all rational, anything that can be written in a ratio format, subtracting a number and adding it back gets you back to where you started. So if you have subtracting n and then you add n, because those are additive inverses, they combine to make 0. So m would just come out to be what you have left, which you can see here. So subtracting a number and then adding it back gets you to where you started. So we're going to talk about keep, add, up, sing.